Boker Tov, Shavua Tov. We're at the beginning of Nun Vav Amud Aleph, 56a. Hanoder min habayit. Person makes a neder not to have benefit from the house, from his house, someone else's house, but he says the house. Mutar ba'aliyah. Divrei Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir says you're allowed to benefit from the attic. You know, the attic is the top part of the house, so he considers no, that's a different part. That's Rabbi Meir's opinion. Chachamim omrim aliyah bichlal habayit. Chachamim say no, the aliyah, the attic, is part of the house. So if you say house, it includes everything attached to the house. Good morning, Adir. Shavua Tov and Mazal Tov.
Morning.
How's the baby? Regards for everyone here. Hey. Nice. Very good. Health and happiness and nachat and all the blessings.
Thank you.
Okay, good. We'll wait to have you back when you're ready to come back, you know?
Is that his first?
Yeah. Okay, amazing.
Thank you.
So we are at the beginning of 56a, Nun Vav Amud Aleph, and we'll just quickly repeat. If a person's on Noder min habayit, a person makes a neder not to benefit from the house, Mutar ba'aliyah, he's allowed to benefit from the attic. Divrei Rabbi Meir. Chachamim omrim aliyah bichlal habayit. Chachamim say that the attic is part of the house. When I say the house, I mean the entire house, and that includes the attic. But hanoder min ha'aliyah mutar b'bayit. The person says, I don't want to benefit from the attic. Then everyone agrees that the rest of the house you're allowed to benefit from, because you just specified the attic. House, according to Chachamim, includes everything. Attic is specific to attic, and the rest of the house is allowed. Let's take a look at the first run on the left side. Min habayit mutar ba'aliyah just sums it up. The Rabbi Meir aliyah leta bichlal bayit. According to Rabbi Meir, the aliyah is not part of the house. It's like a different part. Rabbanan pligi aleh. Rabbanan argue the svira lehu the aliyah bichlal bayit. The aliyah is part of the house. Miumodu, but they agree. Everyone agrees on this last piece. That noder min aliyah mutar b'bayit. Everyone came to add that everyone agrees to this, and that's the way to read the Mishnah. That everyone agrees to this last piece. If someone says specifically, I don't want to benefit from the attic, then you are mutar in the rest of the house. Okay, says the Gemara. Man Tana. Who is the Tana of the Mishnah? And Adir, maybe you want to go on mute? I don't want to wake up your daughter. I mean, you're going to hear me, but
Yeah, sorry.
yeah, it's all good. So says the Gemara, Man Tana. Who's the Tana of the Mishnah? Who's the Tana of the following statement? Babayit lerabot yetziyah, babayit lerabot aliyah. So this is a quote of the pasuk. If you have the full pasuk here on the side, kitavo eretz Kenan, shani neten lachem la'achuzah, v'natati negat zarat bevet eretz achuzatchem. So in Eretz Yisrael, if when you come to Eretz Yisrael, and sometimes there's going to be a situation where Hashem's going to put tzarat on the house. So tzarat bevet eretz achuzatchem, in the house of the land of your holding, of your inheritance. So this bevet, the pasuk could have said natati negat tzarat, like bet eretz achuzatchem. Bevet seems like it's something extra in the house. What's in the house? What else is included? So says the Gemara, lerabot et yitziyah. to include the enclosed, like an enclosed porch. We'll check out the Ran, who has a different explanation, but to include the enclosed porch. I mean, there's a house and there's a porch, and the porch has an enclosure. Is that part of the house? Not part of the house. L'arbot the Yitzia bevet comes to include that. Also, bevet l'rabot ta'aliyah, also to include the attic. So it comes to include the attic. I mean, it's not it's not generally part of so it seems like it's not generally part of the house. But when I say when I have an addition, because the pasuk says bevet in the house, like something else, that comes to include the aliyah. So the one that says this says Amar V'Chizda. V'Chizda says Rabbi Meir. This is talks of Rabbi Meir, because Rabbi Meir was the one that said house is a house and the attic is an attic. So when I say I don't want to have benefit from the house, you're not talking about the attic. So that's why bevet comes to add and include the attic. Di Rabbanan, Hami Rabbanan, Aliyah Bichlal Habayit. Lama Likra bevet l'ribuya. So the Gemara says if it's according to Rabbanan are of the opinion that the Aliyah is included in the house. So why do I need a pasuk to add and include the Aliyah? It's already part of the house. Bevet comes to include something, include the Aliyah, the attic. According to Rabbanan, house is including the attic as it is. So this must go like Rabbi Meir. So that's the Gemara wants to say, that this bevet, to include the Yetziyah and include the Aliyah, is Rabbi Meir. So the Ran over here says that there's a little bit of an issue to say that we're talking about the enclosed porch. Let's look at the Ran, the one that starts with the word lerabot. 6 lines down in the thin lines, 2, 4, 6 lines down. Lerabot yetziyah, to include the enclosed porch. Kachi hagirsa banuschaot. This is the wording in the Gemaras that we have. Amru b'tosfot the lo garsinan le. The Tosfot writes that this is incorrect wording over here. Why? That Torat Kohanim is a midrash on Vayikra. So he says here in Metzorah Parashat Vav, in Torat Kohanim it says Tanya Ipcha. It says something the opposite. Bekirot habayit velo bekirot hayitziyah. It says straight out over there that the tzarat goes on the walls of the house and not on the walls of this enclosed porch. So here it seems to say it includes the enclosed porch. What's going on? Therefore, Ktav Harav Rabbi Moshe Bar Shineor Zal. Rabbi Moshe Bar Shineor says, Zechron Livracha, Lo Garsin Hacha Yetziyah Elat Savua. Here it's we don't write the word Yetziyah, but rather the word Savua, painted, a painted house. Klomar, Bait Savua b'minet Sivonim, a painted house in many colors. And that's what's going on over here. Let's continue to run, and we need to include this. I would have thought let's learn maybe from when, because negaim tzarat could be on a person's skin, a person's house, or a person's clothing. Let's learn from clothing that colored clothing do not get tzarat on them, only white clothing. Because the pasuk says tzemer and pishtim. This is a quote from Gemara, from Mishnah and Negaim. Tzemer pishtim, wool and linen, ma pishtim shelo nishtanu. Just like linen doesn't change, I guess it doesn't change its color. Av tzemer shelo nishtanu. We're talking about wool that has its color has not changed. I guess the original color. So kamash malan ribuya. So therefore, it comes to say that we're including it, meaning like this. First of all, he says that it can't be talking about the Yitziyah, because there's the Torah Kohanim that says that Yitziyah is not included. and there's no tzarat on the enclosed porch. So what's it talking about? Tzavua, a painted wall. That there is even to include the bevet is coming to include even a painted wall. That's where tzarat could go on. So you might say, well, it's obvious. I don't know, it's a wall of your house. So why wouldn't it be included? Because you might say that we compare house to clothing, the tzarat of clothing. The tzarat of clothing, Pasuk says, tzemer ufishtim, that wool and linen, wool garments, linen garments, and it seems like linen its color doesn't change, and therefore we learn, and so to the wool, when its color doesn't change, meaning the wool is in its original color, that type of clothing, and only then it could get a tzarat. Otherwise, there's no tzarat on colored clothing. So you might say same thing is with the walls of a house. Says the Gemara, Kamash V'lan, because of the word bevet to include a painted house. Okay, so that's what the Ran says. It's talking about savua. Even if you look back in the Gemara on the fourth line down, that aleph with the big brackets, that refers to Haggahut Agura. If you see that on the side of the Gemara, Hayetziyah is tzarich lomar hatzavua. The ayin Ran. That's to include. No, it should say the colored house. Okay. So the Gemara continues, and we're saying that this statement of bevet to include the aliyah must be Rabbi Meir, because according to Rabbi Meir, a house and the aliyah are different, and not Rabbanan. Rabbanan says everything's together, everything's considered one. Says the Gemara, Abaye Amar. Abaye says, 7 lines down. Abaye Amar. Abaye says, Afilu Tema Rabbanan. You could even say that this follows according to the Rabbanan. Bayakra, you need the pasuk. And this even fits with the Rabbanan, that bevet comes to include the aliyah. But isn't when a person says a house, isn't the aliyah already included? That's Rabbanan's opinion. So says the Gemara, Bayakra, you need the pasuk, because you would have thought bevet eretz achuzatchem ktiv. The pasuk says bevet eretz achuzatchem, in the house on the land of your dwelling, the land of your inheritance. Ktiv, where it says the house on the land. Ktiv de mechaber be'ar'a shme bayit. It sounds like what's attached to the ground is called a house. Aliyah, and aliyah is on the second floor. Halo mechaber ba'ar'a. That's not connected to the ground. So you might say like this, that we need this pasuk specifically for tzarat. In Rabbanan, yes, they're the opinion when it comes to Nedarim. That you say, I don't want to have a benefit from the house, it includes the aliyah. Bait and aliyah are included. When it comes to the laws of tzarat, the pasuk specifically says, Bevet eretz achuzatchem, the house on the land of your inheritance. So you might think to say house on the land, that the only parts of the house that becomes tameh is the house that's on the actual land, not the second floor, not an attic. So that's why you need bevet, even according to Rabbanan. So Abaye says that this pasuk could be this teaching with tzarat could even be talking about according to Rabbanan, and I mean Rabbanan and Rabbi Meir have their machlokes by Nedarim, but you could say that with this with tzarat they both agree that because bevet eretz achuzatchem, that you might think differently, and therefore you need the pasuk according to both opinions. Okay. Gemara continues. Keman azla hadamar Rav Huna bar Chiya mishmei deula. According to who is the statement of Rav Huna, the son of Chiya, and the name of Ula? What's the statement? Bait bebeti ani mocher lecha. A person says, I'm going to sell you a house in my house. Bait bebeti ani mocher lecha. Mar'ehu aliyah. You could show him the aliyah, you could show him the attic. The person says, I'm going to sell you a house within my house. Bait bebeti ani mocher lecha. Mar'ehu aliyah. You could show him the aliyah. Let's look at the Ran on this. Mar'eu aliyah. Mar'eu aliyah. Im ratza mocher omer lo. If he wants, the seller could say lelokech to the buyer, aliyah macharti lecha. I sold you the aliyah. Avagav de griya, even though it's worse than the actual house, that's the attic only. The yad halokech ala tachtona, because a rule in buying and selling, when there is a vague dispute, the hand of the buyer is on the lower end. It's in general the rule. So because I'm the owner, I'm the seller. It means this. Let's say I sell a house. I have a house and I have an aliyah in the house, and I'm the seller. So I own this house, that's undisputed. Now when I sell this to you, so we're making a transaction, now this is going to go to you. But if it's vague as to what you bought, then any dispute, I win, because it was already for sure known that it was mine before. So a guy says, I'm going to sell you a house within my house. You agree? He says, yeah. The guy says, yeah. Now the buyer might think, I'm buying the house. But when he gets to the house, he says, oh, by the way, that's your part of the house, the attic. He says, what do you mean? I bought the house. Says, no, you didn't look at the contract. Bait bebeti, a house in my house. So what? I didn't realize this. Well, bait bebeti is he could say, I sold you the attic. I didn't sell you the whole house. Or I didn't sell you the backyard. I didn't sell you that room, whatever it is. A room in the house. A house in my house. So the Gemara wants to know who is the author of this statement. Says the Gemara, Ta'ama da'amar le bait shebebeti ani mocher lecha. The reason why it works is because he said a house within the house. Have a bait stam and mareu aliyah. This is a continuation of the statement. But if you just say bait, you can't show him and say, oh, by the way, I sold you the aliyah. No, you said bait. All you said was bait. So who said this statement? That if I say bait beveti, I could tell him, hey, I sold you the aliyah. Just bait is bait. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Meir. Maybe it's Rabbi Meir, which means it makes sense because Rabbi Meir is the one that differentiates between a house and an aliyah. So guys, bait beveti, a house within my house. Yeah, that's an aliyah. And bait is the bait. But Rabbanan would say bait beveti, when the aliyah and the house are all one. So maybe this makes sense to say like Rabbi Meir. Says the Gemara, no, you could even squeeze this statement into Rabbanan. Afilu tema Rabbanan. You could even say that it goes up to Rabbanan. My aliyah me'uleh shebebatim. So what does aliyah over here mean? Aliyah over here means the best part of the house. Here it says the best part of the house. So this statement, says the Gemara, we could squeeze it into the Rabbanan because when it says aliyah over here, it doesn't mean the attic. It means the best part of the house. The guy says, I'm selling you the house. I'm selling you a house within my house. So you could show him the aliyah and you could show him that I only sold you the best part of the house. Not the whole house, only the best part of the house. So that could fit even according to Rabbanan. We're not talking about the aliyah. We're talking about like a part of the house. Let's look at the Ran. Explain it more. My aliyah me'uleh shebabatim. Yeah, my aliyah me'uleh shebabatim. V'hachikam. This is what it means to say. Mar'eu aliyah. You could show him the aliyah. What does that mean? Al korchach shel mocher, against the sellers. Al korchach shel mocher. The kevan de amar le bait bebeti tzarich livror lo ameule. Since you said a house within my house, you have to show him the best part, and the best part is what you sold him. The davka de amar bait bebeti amar bait stam lo elamar eu garua. If you say bait stam, you can show him even the worst the worser parts of the house. And I would think bait stam is the whole house, but bait beveti a house within my house is when the Gemara says show him the aliyah, doesn't mean the aliyah, the attic, but show him the best part. Bait shebibeti. And that's how we could fit that in to Rabbanan as well. Okay, so this statement, Gemara wanted to bring two statements that we said maybe it's like Rabbi Meir. Gemara said, no, those two statements could fit also according to Rabbanan. I'm just going to glance at the rest of the run over here. The Ran brings Gemara Masechet Menachot that doesn't go with Rabbanan over here, and basically according to that, he wants to say the halacha is like Rabbi Meir. The Aleph over here goes like the Chachamim on our Mishnah. The Ran wants to say the halacha is like Rabbi Meir. He brings down the Ramban and the Rambam don't say like him, but that's what he wants. How he wants to go. The Bait and Aliyah are different. He says, you see, the Gemara tries to go like Rabbi Meir with statements like, oh, this is like Rabbi Meir. Oh, no, it's not. This is like Rabbi Meir. Oh, no, it's not. You see, the Gemara's trying to go like proving Rabbi Meir. So that's how the Ran goes. But he says the Ramban and the Rambam don't go like him.
Where is a basement fit into this discussion?
Maybe they didn't have basements then, I don't know. But
Yeah, but how do we apply this to modern times?
to modern basement.
And the basement is directly connected to the earth.
Yeah. So that's maybe more of a house.
Right.
Even though you would say it's less of a house because it seems like the second floor is better than the basement. But maybe an attic. Everyone knows an attic is like not really such a part of the house. People don't go there. It seems like this is an aliyah that people would go to. People would go up there and
Looks like the entrance was from the outside, I believe.
Oh, an outside entrance to the attic?
Yeah, should be.
Could be.
I mean, this is
Yeah, it makes sense.
We can't come into the house and we can't go to the house and go upstairs.
Yeah, makes sense. In this case, that it's especially if he's selling him. Yeah. And if he makes a neder. Yeah, good question. I think maybe the basement would be part of the house. And it seems like the aliyah, well, yeah, but you said also maybe the basement has a separate entrance also. What would be in that case?
Then the main floor becomes what?
The house.
It's not attached to the ground.
To the ground.
It's sitting on the top of the concrete or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not actually, I think.
Yeah, but that's in Tzarat. But in regular selling or that thing attached to the ground is not that's Tzarat. If a person now says, I don't want to have any benefit from the house, can he get benefit from the basement? Probably it's all one thing. If it's a basement apartment, a separate entrance, maybe that's different. I mean, it seems like the halakha is like the chachamim, where it's all one, so you can't make any difference. According to the Ran, it's like Rabbi Meir. There's a question. Maybe it's different. Maybe the aliyah is different. According to the chachamim, house is house. House includes everything. Yeah. Aliyah bichlal bayit. It seems like the Ran, the Shulchan Aruch and the Ran go with the Shulchan Aruch and the Rambam go with the chachamim. So if I say I don't want to benefit from the house, it's the entire house. Okay, let's continue. Mishnah. Anoder min hamita. A person says, I don't want to have any benefit from the bed. I guess he wants to sleep on the couch, I don't know. But he says, I don't want to have any benefit from the bed. Mutar bedargash. You're allowed to benefit from the dargash. We'll see what the dargash is in the Gemara. Rabbi Meir. That's what Rabbi Meir says. Chachamim said the dargash is included in when he says I don't want to have any benefit from the bed. Dargash is included in that. You can't have any benefit from the Dargash as well. But on Nedarim Dargash, mutar b'mita. A person says, I don't want to have any benefit from the Dargash. He's allowed to benefit from the regular bed. Same type of thing with the house and the Aliyah. Where Rabbi Meir says they're separate. Chachamim say that it's together. But if you specify the Dargash, then you're allowed in the bed. Asks the Gemara, my Dargash, what is the Dargash? Amar Ula, says Ula, Arsa de Gada, a bed of Mazal. Let's see the run. 3 lines up from the bottom. Arsa de Gada. Noagim hayu le'atzia mita le'mazal habayit. They had a custom to set a bed. It seems like this bed was not used for people to sleep in, but it was there for the mazal of the house. To have a good mazal in the house, have this little separate bed. I don't know what. I didn't check up on the. Well, if you look at the, I guess we did this in Moed Katan. I didn't realize. I have the Lekutei Rashi over here. I don't know if you have it in your Gemara on the side. Mita shemiyachadim ota lemazal tov ve'em mishtamshim baklum ela miyachadim ota lishrot mazal tov aleha. It's a bed to receive the good mazal in the house. We don't use it for anything else. This bed is the recipient of the mazal in the house. Interesting. So back to the run. Gada mazal. The word gada translates to mazal. And if you look actually in Rashi, Parashat Vayetzeh, when Gad is born, one of the tribes, when Gad is born, the Torah says Bagad. Rashi says Bagad ba mazal tov. A good mazal came. It's because Gad also translates to mazal. So back to the plugging this in. So Ula says a dargash is a arsa de gada. So when a person says, I don't want to have any benefit from the bed, says Rabbi Meir, you're allowed to benefit from the mazal bed because that's not used. It's a separate thing. Chachamim say, no, it's included. If a person says, I don't want to have any benefit from the dargash, then everybody knows that you're allowed to have benefit from your regular bed. Okay. Says the Gemara. Amru le Rabbanan de Ula. Rabbanan tells Ula. Now Ula is the one that explained that Dargash means a bed of mazal. Says the Rabbanan to Ula to argue on this explanation. Haditanan, it says in the Mishnah, Keshehen mavrin oto. This is talking about the Kohen Gadol, or a king, that became an Avel. And they would give him Seudat Havra. Seudat Havra is the first meal that he eats after burying his loved one, is a meal of bread, eggs, and people give him the meal. So when they would give him the meal, Keshehen mavrin oto, Kol ha'am mesubin ala aretz, ve'hu mesav ala dargash. So the Mishnah says, everyone sits on the floor, everyone comes to visit the Kohen Gadol, the king, and everyone sits on the floor, and he sits on the dargash. He sits on the dargash. So the Gemara asks, Kula shata lo yativ ala. The entire year, he doesn't sit on this dargash, because it's meant for the mazal. Hahu yoma yativ ala. And that day specifically, he loses a loved one, that day he's going to sit on this dargash. So the Gemara wants to kind of ask on Ula, this is not, it's not what you're saying. It's not a bed of mazal that they just left and never used. You see, like, the entire year he didn't use it, and now he's going to sit on it? It doesn't make sense. So therefore it doesn't make sense to say that it's a bed that's set aside for meaning, Arsa de Gada was a thing, but that people had this mazal bed. But don't say that a dargash means that, because you see over here that this Kohen Gadol, everybody would be sitting on the floor, and he sits on the dargash. What, on the day of Avelut, he would sit on a bed that no one ever sits on? And like kind of like a good bed type of thing. Does it make sense? So the Gemara asks on this explanation, Matki Fila Ravina. Ravina asks on him with a hatkafa, with a strong type of question. Midi dahava abasar veyain. Well, you could compare it to meat and wine. Because back in the day, there are still some customs like this. I think Ashkenazim do. Sfaradim in general, Avelut, do not have meat and wine except for Shabbat. But I think Ashkenazim do. And actually the Gemara says that they would have meat and wine during Avelut to make them forget from their sorrow of losing a loved one. So they give them meat and wine. So the Gemara says, hold on a second, let me ask you a question on this. Because meat dava basar v'yain, then what's with the meat and the wine during Avelut? The kula shata, the entire year, ibai achil v'ibai lo achil. If you want meat and wine, you could have. If you don't want meat and wine, you don't have. It's up to you. Hahu yoma ananya haviram. And on this day of Avelut, we give him meat and wine, like he has to have it. So that's the same type of thing. It's the same type of thing. So don't ask, meaning the steps are, Ula says, Dargash is a Arsa de Gada, the Mazal bed. Rabbanan says, what do you mean? How could it be this bed when the Kohen Gadol, he comes back from Avelut, and that's what he's sitting on? Like the whole year he doesn't sit on this, and that's what he's sitting on? So the Gemara asks back, don't bring that as a proof that the whole year he doesn't do it, now he does. As well, the meat and the wine. The whole year he could do it if he wants, he could do it if he doesn't want, and now he has to have meat and wine. So don't bring that as a proof. Says the Gemara, Ela ha-kasha. If you want to ask a question on Ula, says the Gemara, this is the question you could ask on Ula. To say that a Dargash means the Ars de Gada. No, it doesn't. Here's the question. Ela ha-kasha, this is a question. Titania, the Braita says, Dargash lo haya kofehu, ela zokfo. When the beds of when a person was in Avelut, they would turn over the beds, but the bed of the Dargash, they would stand it up. They wouldn't turn it over, they would stand it up. Dargash lo yokofeu, ela zokfo. V'i amrat arsa de gadahu. If you're going to tell me that the Dargash is this mazal bed, Ve'atanya, the Braita says, Akofe et mitato. Lo mitato bilvad hu kofe, ela kol mitot sheyesh lo betoch habayit hu kofe. If you're saying that a Dargash is the bed of Mazal, we have a Braita that says you turn over every bed. Not just the bed that you sleep in, but every bed in the house you turn over. Meaning, if Dargash is a bed, even if it's a Mazal bed, if you're saying that Dargash is a bed, then you have to flip it over. But we have another Braita that says Dargash, they wouldn't flip it over, they would stand it up. So you see that the Dargash is not a bed. Again, the Ula says, what is Dargash? This we want to know, what is Dargash? Ula says that Dargash is a Mazal bed. So we had a question where they said, no, it's not a question. Now on this part, we said, if you want to ask a question on Ula, you can ask the following question. Dargash, we didn't flip over, we stood it up. But if you want to say Dargash is a bed, so now we don't know what Dargash means. But Dargash, we didn't flip it over, we stood it up. Now, but if you want to say Dargash is a bed, there's a Braita that says every bed they had to flip over. So it must be Dargash is not a bed. It's something else that they would stand up. So we'll kind of stop here, but the Gemara says, hello, Kasha, to my question, it was a bed designated for vessels. So it's not a regular bed, not a bed of mazal. We said now the Dargash is something else. It was a bed dedicated for vessels. But we'll stop over here because then the Gemara continues on this. So we'll stop over here. We'll repeat the question tomorrow night to explain Dargash, and we'll go straight from here. Is there a picture?